In no particular order, here are the best novels or worlds to get transmigrated into. The first world being the world of Shadow Slave. Now, by no means is Shadow Slave a utopia. In fact, the author himself stated that the setting is more akin to a dystopia in his own review of the series. But the thing is, if you get transmigrated into this world, you can not only survive, but thrive. You see, the power system of Shadow Slave comes from this thing called the spell, which is basically a system that grants people special and unique powers, created by this boxer who reached the pinnacle of strength due to his unique skills in dodging and weaving attacks, aptly named Weaver. If this sounds ridiculous, don't worry. That's just Shadow Slave for you, as the novel is a rom-com about a young man who grew up in the slums, working up the courage to ask out his crush for about 1700 chapters. The novel has this ominous name of Shadow Slave because our main character desperately wishes to carve his name into the history books, but he feels like a shadow that's just mimicking those that came before him. In terms of the slave, it's because he is in constant turmoil about his love for the female lead, as he's constantly wondering if he's just a slave to his desires, a shadow slave, if you will. I know some readers will not be happy with me spoiling this revelation, but believe me, if you read the series, there's way more to experience than just the realization of what the novel's name truly means. But returning to the power system, the spell doesn't give out unique powers and abilities for free. In return for giving you what is a road to attain godhood, the spell makes you undergo unique trials for each rank. As you progress, the trials will of course get harder, but at the start, they're usually not that difficult. In fact, you can most likely beat the trials in your sleep, which is how most people in the novel overcome the trials. The point being, you can get yourself some unique powers and a reliable way to fend for yourself or make some money pretty easily. Enough about power systems. In terms of geography and everything else, the world of Shadow Slave has many interesting things that you might want to check out. For example, it's got this nice tree over here, which is basically the equivalent of the giving tree. If you eat its fruits, not only will it provide you with all the nutrition, vitamins, and protein that you need for the day, but it'll also give you the Shadow Slave equivalent of experience points. Then we also got these flying islands over here. Not much to talk about, as what you see is generally what you get. If the flying islands are not your thing, we also got some mountains here. I got a roommate who's big about climbing mountains and hiking, so this would be right up his alley. Of course, be careful climbing or traversing this mountain, as many people find the climb so enjoyable that they ultimately end up losing themselves. If you're more of a beach or water person, wait till you find out about this shore, which just so happens to also be where this giving tree resides. Some people call it the Forgotten Shore or whatnot, but I'd rather call this the Unforgettable Shore, as this is where a lot of crucial things in the rom-com take place. I think this is enough information about Shadow Slave, so let's move on to the next world that you'd potentially want to get transmigrated into. The next world being the world of Reverend Insanity. Now, the title might make you take a little step backward and wonder what the Reverend and Insanity mean, but do not worry, I got you. The series is titled Reverend Insanity because our main character Fang Yuan wants to attain immortality, but not the immortality that you're probably thinking of. Fang Yuan, being the smart man that he is, understands that living forever is probably not something that you want. Hence, he wants to attain immortality by being remembered forever through the good deeds that he does. Since he's not opposed to talking about his philosophies and ideas on his version of immortality, people call him the Insane Reverend, or the Reverend Insanity, because in this world, there are literal immortal cultivators that can live forever. So Fang Yuan's idea to be immortal through the memory of him that others share and pass on rather than actually living forever sounds a little insane or cuckoo to others. With the title having been explained, the novel is a slice of life that follows Fang Yuan as he commits great acts of charity, like feeding hungry animals, helping grannies not only till their farmland, but also find love, and mentoring a young inexperienced merchant girl to make sure she realizes her full potential, amongst many other things. Fang Yuan is able to do all of these peaceful and kind acts rather than partaking in the bloodshed and massacre that most cultivation novels partake in, because the Gu world, what the world of Reverend Insanity is called, is very open-minded. Sure, in other cultivation novels, immortals, those with miraculous superpowers, are usually arrogant and view those below them as nothing but filth. But in this novel, immortals are much more open-minded and accepting of others, to the point that they're actually quite benevolent. The reason that some people dislike and mock Fang Yuan being that they understand he's not doing kind acts just to be kind, but rather to gain fame. So there's a constant question throughout the series of, are kind acts truly kind and admirable if you're just doing them for the profits or whatever returns that you're hoping to receive? I wonder if this has any real-world applications. Anyways, if you find yourself wanting to take a step back from the modern world, with everyone constantly fighting for your time, attention, and money, the world of Reverend Insanity is a godsend. Imagine an idealized version of historic China with all of its positives of beautiful landscapes and scenery, and that's basically the Gu world, of course with some added flavoring with there being cultivators. If you're worried about evil cultivators, I don't blame you. But trust me, you really have nothing to worry about, as the most evil person in the recorded history of the Gu world was most likely Spectral Soul Demon Venerable, who was the cultivator equivalent of a climate activist, who, much like the greats that came before him, sought to reduce humanity's carbon emissions, although where he failed was via his methods that others saw as too extreme and or restricting. Due to this, the climate change movement got a very bad image, and people did not want to hop on the train until much later. Hence, for this failure, people named him a demon. So yeah, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in this world, as you won't be able to watch your favorite podcasts while eating or doing other things, so please be cognizant of that. With that warning aside, I think we covered the world of Reverend Insanity pretty well. I know I didn't go into the geography and landscapes that much, but do not worry. It's just one massive continent or world that can be divided into different sections. Here are some great maps created by the wonderful people in the community, who also post monthly appreciation threads for authors of other novels like Tangjia Sanxiao. So if you're a Soul Land fan, you'll fit right into this community. Before we move on to the final and best world, here's an honorable mention. First up is the world of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, a quirky slice of life novel about a group of friends who are in a very popular game show. Some might say, oh, don't go to this world, because you might experience some quote-unquote life-threatening events. But do not listen to these people. These so-called free thinkers are the same people who will stop you from buying Faker's $500 Ari skin, which will give you the extra edge that you need to finally reach Challenger and fulfill your esports dreams. And even on the off chance you're injured or encounter some sort of defeat, the game show has great healthcare benefits. Just look at our main character here, who can definitely vouch for the system. So just like what Miss Frizzle said, take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. With that, we're on to the best place for you to transmigrate, that being the world of Lord of the Mysteries. This is the place that you want to get transmigrated into for many reasons. Are you tired of those in powerful positions not ever doing anything for the people, even though they're supposed to be by the people and for the people? Well, you won't have to worry about that in the world of Lord of the Mysteries, as those in charge are actually quite reliable. In fact, quite hilariously, in the early parts of the novel, Klein actually solves most of his conflicts and issues by literally just ratting out evil people to official Beyonders. If you're unfamiliar with what Lord of the Mysteries is, Beyonders are basically just exorcists with special powers funded by their respective churches. With that having been said, if you ever run into any dangers or problems in the world of Lord of the Mysteries, as long as you run to a nearby church, most of your problems should be solved. With safety concerns out of the way, there are other reasons like the geography and wonderful views you'll find that just also make the world of Lord of the Mysteries such a nice place to live in. For example, if you travel to Backland, you'll get to see the wonderful Northern Lights. If you get transmigrated here somewhere before the year of 1349, make sure you visit Backland sometime around the last week of 1349, because there will be a fortuitous encounter waiting for you. Some might even say that it's to die for. Going to other places on the map, we got the Intis Republic. If you're looking for a life of hedonistic pleasures and joys, then look no further. This is the place to get your freak on. Sorry to cut the tour of the world short, but please do understand, I simply do not have time to go over all of these places one by one. Maybe if there's enough request, I'll do a video about this topic one day, but for now, I'll let the rest of the world be a surprise for you to unravel yourself once you find yourself in this cozy world. Because believe me, in creating this world, Cuttlefish gathered inspiration from the most peaceful and serene places on Earth, such as Birmingham, O'Block, Gary, Indiana, and many more places that I simply do not wish to spoil for you. If the places that I have just brought up don't do enough to paint the world of joy that you're about to partake in, all I have left to say is that within your first week, within your first day, you'll most likely drop to your knees with tears running down your face at your wonderful choice to be transmigrated into this world. With that having been said, I think that concludes the video.